The Leoking will be live shortly. Please hold on while the collective consciousness loads, and thank you for being a part of the Leo Kingdom. The Leoking will be live shortly. Please hold on while the collective consciousness loads, and thank you for being a part of the Leo Kingdom. The Leoking will be live shortly. Please hold on while the collective consciousness loads, and thank you for being a part of the Leo Kingdom. The Leoking will be live shortly. Please hold on while the collective consciousness loads, and thank you for being a part of the Leo Kingdom. The Leoking will be live shortly. Please hold on while the collective consciousness loads, and thank you for being a part of the Leo Kingdom.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? It's David Palmer, the Leo King, and this is Deep Astrology, your weekly astrology forecast for the week of October 29th through November the 4th of 2019. Brought to you by highvibe.tv. Make sure that you check out highvibe.tv. We have free apps and, of course, our website with exclusive content. And we are covering all spiritual subjects. We go into so much stuff about just raising your vibration, the Positive Spiritual Network. Our apps are free to download. And if you want some of our amazing exclusive content, make sure that you subscribe for that. But shows like this, like Deep Astrology, are on the app, and you can also live stream and watch that on the apps. We're also on Apple TV, we're on Roku, we're on iOS, Android. Make sure that you check out highvibe.tv, because you know why? That's what keeps this show from being here free for you on YouTube. And of course, if you've never watched the show before, this is where I channel the astrology for the week, and I go deep into the charts, which are brought to you by Astrological, which you can get on iOS, Android, and of course on your MacBook or on whatever Apple device there is. But if you're on PC, make sure that you check out Solar Fire. And this is also sponsored by the W Bros Jewelry, which is an awesome zodiac collection for rings and necklaces. I'm wearing the Leo ring. I'm always wearing that Leo ring. It's my lucky charm. I love it so much. You can get it in sterling silver, gold, and of course rose gold in any of your zodiac combinations for the necklaces or for the rings. Make sure that you use my discount code LK10. Go to thewbros.com, click on Horoscope Collections. You'll see it there. It's pretty awesome, and you will love this jewelry. I love wearing it. Make sure that you check it out. It also, 10% of it goes to help out people that are dealing with anxiety and depression. So make sure that you help by supporting all those charities. And of course, you're helping support me and the network by getting this awesome jewelry. Thanks so much. Now, let's get to the deep astrology. Woo! I know everybody's wanting to know, it's Mercury Retrograde week. Woo! And you know what? Typically people freak out about Mercury Retrograde. And I always love to say, like, why are you freaking out about Mercury Retrograde? It's the smallest planet. It's a little grain of sand compared to all the other planets and even the sun it's so tiny. And it's always little things, right? Like Mercury Retrograde always brings up the most stupid little things. Oh my gosh, I can't believe my phone's not working right now. It's like, okay, yeah, it's such a small thing in life, right? Come on. But this Mercury Retrograde's coming in between such a hot zone of change, a hot zone of things that are coming up. We are in Scorpio season, by the way, so happy birthday to all those Scorpios out there. Where's all those intense Scorpios? And this Scorpio season is intense because we are on the approach of the Saturn-Pluto conjunction, which is happening in January of 2020. We are on the approach of Jupiter, which is going to be on its last month, literally in Sagittarius, its home sign. So this is a weird hot zone, right? Because we are at where we have to really look at so many different things and get to the deep truth of it to make the biggest choices of our lives, of where our destiny is going. And so much of this has to do with what we're doing with our money, our projects, and relationships. This Mercury retrograde is happening exactly on Venus. Very rare. This is like, a benefic planet. So Mercury, remember, is a neutral planet. It will go benefic or it will go malefic. And if you don't know what those two are, malefic is where it's, you're hanging out with kind of the dark side, and benefic is much more positive and beneficial. Or do you think they get the term or the word benefit from? So this is an important transit because I think that, one, it's going to get to the bottom of some really deep emotional questions about what we're doing with our energy, about what we're doing to attract energy for abundance, what we're doing to attract energy and bring in and commit to in relationships. And this is where the questions are. And I think that this Mercury retrograde is going to be making so many good aspects, not only to the Saturn-Pluto stuff that's going on in Capricorn, but it's not going to be making some really crazy stuff. You know, it's going to come all the way back to 11 degrees of Scorpio. And it's not like, you know, to be honest with you, it's not like anything crazy is going on. So the good thing is we've got that North Node in Cancer, which now is at 10 degrees this week. So we are starting to see the sun this week trine the North Node as well. There's a lot of destiny and fated stuff, but it's almost like the universe is just like, here it all is. And it's like, well, what do I do with it? There's a lot about having to experience with Jupiter, of course. And this is the last week of Jupiter in shadow. So if you don't know what that means, Jupiter went retrograde in the spring, in April, okay? April into May right there, Jupiter stops at 24 degrees and 21 minutes of Sagittarius. This week, when we get off of this weekend, Jupiter goes to 24 degrees. And by the time we come to deep astrology next week on Tuesday, Jupiter is out of shadow. That means Jupiter is going to be moving at full speed ahead, and it is going to be exploring territory we haven't explored in 12 years. So this is going to be the ultimate, you know, whether you call that a research project of your destiny and fate while Mercury is going to be retrograde. And you know, this is one of those Mercury retrogrades where I'm just going to tell you this. And I know this might sound like I'm a lunatic and I'm crazy. But there are going to be things that are going to be coming in our life during this Mercury retrograde. And there's like these big choices that are coming up. And you know, it's almost like, yes, as an astrologer, it's like maybe you're going to want to think a lot of things through, but you got to remember that this is going to be the last month of Jupiter in Sagittarius. And it's going to be at its full capacity, and it's going to be at the galactic center point coming up here in November. It's a time for massive, massive things of fate and karma coming in. And this Mercury retrograde is about looking at your deep personal needs and wants and really being like, oh, you know what? That's what it is. And making changes that are in alignment with the ultimate good for what you want in your life. I want to also bring up that Mars is going to square Pluto this week. Now, Mars just made it square to Saturn during this new moon we just had on the weekend and into Monday. So Mars already had a really tough time with Saturn, just because it just kind of confronted, like, you know, whether that's insecurities in yourself, you know, choices to be made, or, you know, unsure of like what to do, and maybe even some blocks, but also at the same time, like you having to step up to the plate, you having to learn to grow up, you learning to be like, you know what, I have to take more action on things instead of sit on the fence. Especially like relationship wise, there's a lot that's going on in this space about, what are you doing? Are you going to step up to the plate? Are you going to enter the game? Are you going to stay in the relationship? Are you going to even, what are you going to do here? But now here comes Mars to square Pluto. Remember, Mars and Pluto, they're practically the same energy as Pluto is the higher octave of Mars, but Mars is in detriment in Libra. And here comes this Pluto, real strong in Capricorn. It's got Saturn on its back, and they're about to conjunct. And so this Mars is going to be squaring the midpoint of Saturn-Pluto this week. So that means that these major decisions and their life-changing decisions that continue to brew in our lives, and this identification of weighing a lot of it out, and a lot of it has to do with the choices we make about the partnerships, about the more peaceful resolutions that we want to find in our life. And with Mercury retrograding on Venus, while Mars in Libra is going to square Pluto, this is funny because Mars is in Libra and Pluto is in Capricorn. But what's interesting is Mercury retrograde is happening in Scorpio. So there's like this kind of interesting element of a lot of Plutonian energy. There's this Venus aspect because Mercury's retrograding on Venus, and then Mars is in Venus's sign. And there's so much weirdness about, like, you can see a little bit of this weird correlation about, well, what is it that I fully am into? And what am I not? And where am I hanging on the fence on things that I'm not into? And just trying to be like, well, I'm going to continue to be nice, or I'm going to continue to just try and like leave things on this burner and that burner. That ain't going to happen no more. I'm sorry to say. Like, that ain't going to happen. Like, There's just no way more possible for us to just, in our lives, just kind of keep things in the purgatory zone, or just keep things kind of, oh, I'm going to keep it kosher, but it's not kosher. No, that ain't going to happen. Or you know what? I'm a bachelor. Go into a bachelor's fridge. There are leftovers for weeks at a time in a fridge, okay? Do you really think that they're going to be re-eaten? Do you really think they're going to make it through? No. And it starts to smell. And that's what happens when Mars squares Pluto, when Mars is in Libra and Pluto's in Capricorn. It's like, no. Like, you just can't keep, like, holding on to this. Like, come on. You got to make a choice. You got to make a big, like, what are you going to commit to here? And what are you going to also throw away? There's a harshness of Pluto, right? Like, Pluto just wants it to regenerate or, you know, activate. Like, there's this beauty of life and death with Pluto. And with Mars here in Libra being like, I don't really know what to do. And especially Mars in Libra kind of needs to be pushed into things. And Pluto is like, well, you want me to push you? I will throw you. You know what I mean? Like, I will take everything I got. I will get the most intense throw of your life. Here you go. Boom. Okay. You know, it's like, it'll get thrown into your face. You don't want that thing in your fridge turning into an alien baby, you know what I mean? And crawling out of your fridge and going into your body when you're falling asleep at night. Like, I'm already scaring people on this Halloween. And ironically enough, you know, Mercury Retrograde is happening on Halloween. There's something to say about that. Let's not resurrect the dead. I said that recently. Let's look at what is possible for moving forward into the future, as this was a new moon that we just had this week, exactly in opposition to Uranus and Taurus. That means this whole month cycle, as ironically enough, I was just telling you about how this is the last month of Jupiter and Sagittarius in its home sign. It's going to come to the galactic center. And we got Venus this week, that after Halloween, right after Mercury retrogrades over Venus, Venus then moves into Sagittarius. Jupiter's energy, Venus is going to have more fun there, and it's a much more explorative place. So there's a lot of exploring going on that's going to happen, and this Mercury retrograde over Venus is going to get to the depths. So this is a little bit of a, wow, God, you really are trick-or-treating with me, and here you are giving me Butterfingers and all, you're giving me all the big stuff. I'm not getting like the little kid stuff or some, you know, grandma that's just giving out like, you know, granola bars. No, you're giving me a lot of good stuff to look at. I mean, I'm running off my like 6 and 7-year-old self on rollerblades with a big pillowcase, you know what I mean? So that's what we wanted. I don't know today, maybe kids really want like granola bars and like vegan donuts or something. I don't know. But back then it was like, who's got the king size? You know what I mean? Like, where's that cool house, you know? You know, I had enough Smarties. I'm cool. And if you give me any more candy corn, I'm gonna throw it at your house. You know what I mean? So I think that, you know, there's that part of that Scorpio inside, right? So that might be me, right? And whatever you want, it's like, yeah, I don't want fucking candy corn. Like, give me a fucking big size. I want a king size Snickers or something, you know? Like, that's my energy. That's my personality. But for you, what is it inside that you need to know? And this is where boundaries take place in yourself, deep inside. This is an introspective time because, of course, Mercury retrograde in Scorpio, and Scorpio already is a much more internal, much more deeper private space. But there's something to say about this outer expanding element with Jupiter, of course, getting on its last week out of shadow, and with Venus now going to be in Sagittarius. This is lighting up to explore, and it's a much more extroverted energy. Jupiter and Venus are the two benefics, and they are going to be in a very benefic sign. So there is a lot of positives that are coming here, but the positives are really good, but the negatives are, oh, you got to make some intense choices about these. And with a Mercury retrograde, it's almost like, you know, it's like this is going to be meme city of a lot of these cheap ass astrology Instagram bullshits out there creating memes like don't do this and don't do that. This is an application on every Mercury retrograde that's unique to its own thing. I want to put that out there as an astrologer. When you just start throwing the same shit on the same meme and throwing it out there all the time, on every Mercury retrograde do this, this one is different, folks. You got to look at everything else that's going on, because you know why? Saturn and Neptune. I know that you probably weren't expecting that one, but Saturn is in here at 15 degrees of Capricorn this week, And it's getting ready to come to 16, and watch Neptune. Neptune's at 16, ready to retrograde into 15 degrees. And next week when Jupiter comes out of shadow, Saturn and Neptune make their last sextile in our lives in their home signs. In our lives. And if you've been following me for years, for the last decade, there's been a buildup of me talking about Saturn and Neptune sextile for a long time. Because in their home signs, this is the quest. This is destiny. This is the alignment of your deepest soul and what directions that we have to take. And this is going to be the last time we see it with a Mercury retrograde, with Venus in Sag, with Jupiter in Sag. And you're going to just throw everything to, well, Mercury, some meme on fucking Instagram told me fucking I can't make a choice in my life, or I can't really explore this, or I have to say no to that. Yeah, the boundaries are to say no to the shit that you're hanging on a thread on that you already know isn't worth your time to waste on putting your energy or manifestation towards that you're hanging on the fence on, because you're not fully like, yes, I want to see what's there. Or, yes, let's fucking see what's there. That is the whole deal. That's the whole deal. That's what you have to learn to say no to, is like, yeah, you know what? I'm not really into that. Fuck you. But goodbye. I know that sounds fucking harsh, but no, I'm not into it that much. Bye. That's what this Mercury retrograde is really about. Inside, going inside and being like, I don't like this. I don't like that. I really like that. I don't like this. I kind of like this. Oh, when you start to get to those kindas, that's where you're going to start to notice that you have a bunch of weird energy that's floating around in your sphere of your energy and your soul. And that's where you've got to start getting out the scissors and being all Scorpio and just being like, shk, 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 out. And you know, it reminds me, and I'm going to go political, because whether we're seeing it right now with what's Brexit going on and delays, or we're seeing it right now, and ironically enough, the impeachment is going to, you know, this proceeding that's going to happen in the House is ironically going to happen on a Mercury retrograde day. Of course, there's always these weird things, you know. But there's these delays, and there's all these weird things, and there's all this weird information, and there's a lot of sides to look at, and which is the best, and everybody is too afraid to just like hammer down. Like, what are you gonna do? What are you not gonna do? And this is where Mercury retrograde is gonna be a little pissed off, little like, you know, it reminds me just of like this little like pissed off little dude that's just like, I just want to expose shit and I can't handle people who don't know what they want. That's what Mercury's doing. Although it's benefic, it's on Venus, but remember Venus is detriment in Scorpio. So it's not the most strongest in Scorpio. It gets a little obsessive, it gets a little intense. It's like, and Venus likes to be peaceful and make some beautiful things and have a beautiful sunset, like date. But Venus and Scorpio is like, no, like we're going to go fucking here and we're going to have sex on the balcony and we're going to like fucking blah, and we're going to have a good time. And then, you know, like it's like, whoa. And it's like, we're going to get married in Vegas tonight. You know what I mean? Like, whoa. Like, whoa. And then the next thing you know, it's like, I don't want you. Get out of my fucking car. Like the day after the wedding. Like, what the fuck? You know, that's Venus Scorpio. I love that shit. It's so hilarious to me. But this is where it's like, okay, the benefic part of Venus, though, is part of this, where it's like, it's okay for you to not feel guilty about what you don't want. If you don't want it, you don't want it. And that's what Mars square Pluto is. So it's time for you to really start to think about in your life, why are you hanging on the thread on things you don't want in your life? And to be real with you all, Mars square Pluto is intense in itself, and so is Venus and Scorpio. But I think that you have to realize, with Saturn sextiling Neptune this week, because they're within a degree, that there is something to say that the universe has been bringing in. I would say, in our lives, because it's never going to happen again. And I'm a little sad. To be honest with you all, the Leo King's sad. I'm sad. I know it's Scorpio time, and I know that I'm a Leo, and I'm a double Leo, so this is an emotional time. This is the 4th house for Leos. I'm sad to see Saturn sextile Neptune go, because this is the last time we'll see it in their home signs. And to me, I'm so connected with Camelot. I'm so connected with Avalon. I'm so connected to the story of the Grail quest. I'm so connected to the story of just the quests and the mission of light work. And there's something to say about big choices that you have to make in your life right now about, are you on that quest or not? And this is where the universe is going to use this Mercury retrograde to see if people are jumping ship and saying, I'm not ready for the quest. Or they're not willing to see that the universe is bringing in some amazing souls into your life that are part of the quest. And this is where discernment comes in at its highest form with Mercury retrograde in Scorpio. To look at things from an introspective and a deep internal place with Venus there and be like, am I just jumping into something to make myself feel good externally of myself? Or am I actually connecting with souls and people and projects and relationships and so forth that are actually in alignment because they're in that body of that higher realm? And I am too, and this coming together, whether it's a project or whether it's romance or whether it's, just in support of some sort of mission in this beautiful galactic mission we're all on, is on its last bit of coming in. This is Neptune retrograde, remember, with Saturn direct. So as Saturn's moving forward, Neptune backwards, the hit is with Saturn, the Lord of Karma, to Neptune and receiving the rays of Neptune's last pure, higher vibrational alignment energies. And there's something to say that the South Node has been coming off of Saturn to say that we've done so much clearing. And it's almost like the universe has just cleared us out of so many things that were not in alignment in our life. So what are you going to go do? Are you going to go back to things that aren't in alignment? Or are you going to start to bring in things that are old patterns or old things that are not part of that higher mission in your life? Are you really going to fucking do that? No, I hope not. The negative part of Mars square Pluto is somebody who's an obsessive and will just have it to just freaking have it. This is where it's like, have what's on the mission. This is where you can see through people, X-ray goggles completely. So people trying to hide shit, you're intuitive enough to see through it. And the things that are going to be tried to be hidden are things that are not of the highest good in spirit. That's what sucks. But the good part is, you can call people out on it and say, and it's not about calling people out in a negative way, but it's about a positive way, about having a positive conversation, having like can you confront this about me and tell me where you're at? Like, what's really going on? Because you got to make that discernment and choice. Just because Mercury retrograde is happening doesn't mean that you can't make choices in your life. Especially when these are way more mounting because they're dignified positions that are in their last form of connection. And that is rare. And they take a long time. And with Jupiter coming out of shadow next week, and more important than that, with Mars square Pluto, there is something to say about, you can't just be in this kind of, I'll accept the deal. I'll accept like this even though it's not my truth. Or I'll accept that. Like there's just something inside of you that has to be like, I'm not going to fuck up my mission. And that I know that God and I know that the divine are only here when I cut off energy that is not on the divine mission, that is not in alignment with I know in myself and my truth and where I know that I'm here to bring this great light work, that I know that the universe has already brought in, possibly, and that's why we have to explore Venus and Jupiter and Sagittarius now, to all these amazing things, all these tools, all these people that have come into our worlds to really see what's there and to trust that the universe will bring that into us. But we have to pass the test of Saturn and Neptune that are saying this is about a serious higher vibrational mission, and to make that our priority. And with the sun that is trining the North Node, there is something to say of a buildup of this week of karma, of a higher connection to emotional fulfillment, not external, but the fulfillment you find in yourself, and also with connections that have the same equal energy as yourself. That's what Libra is. And I'm going to go to the charts, but I want to finish with this last thing because it's super important. That the moon this week comes out of Scorpio. Actually, tonight as we're talking, it's in Sagittarius. It's going to come over Jupiter, and this is the second to last pass of the moon on Jupiter. Next month is the last pass when we have a new moon in Sag, and then we're not going to see moon Jupiter in Sag for over a decade, okay? Why is that important? Because the moon and Jupiter like each other, and they like to be in Sagittarius. And then they come into the treacherous, rocky terrain of really intense Saturn, Pluto, South Node, and more importantly, with the moon being occulted there, because it goes in front of Saturn, and with Pluto behind it, there's a lot of intense and weird stuff. And I gotta be real, because that Saturn-Neptune sextile, we're not gonna see the moon beyond the Capricorn side of things ever again in our life with Saturn and Neptune sextile exact. We'll never see that in our lives again. So that's our out of this treacherous terrain, is to connect with what is in spiritual higher alignment and higher vibration, and for what is good for God. And this is where everybody is put on the judgment stand of God. And I don't want to sound like a reverend like any of my lineage, because I have a lot of reverends in my lineage. But I do want to say that there is something to say about judgment from God, judgment from spirit. And it's not the judgment that you think of like you're going to hell or anything like that, but the judgment of, are you in your life conducting your life in a manner, in the way that you live your life, the way that you make your plans, the way that you make your achievements, the connections that you're around, and the connections that you're going to bring into your life, and the way that you express yourself, to where you're doing something for the highest good of God, and that comes first, and that you're not throwing away any of that, and that purpose of God, and that connection to spirit, and living your life not in that, or not making that your number one priority in your life. This for some people is a freak out, because they realize in their life that they're not living in the higher realm of their life at all. Like, it's like, I am really living my life in a way that is pulling me the most away from spirit, and dealing with negative entities and dark entities and creepy energies in people, because with Mercury Retrograde in Scorpio, all the creep shows will come out. All the dark side will be shown, and it will be scary for some, but not for others that see the light, that understand it. As we all walk through the darkness together, we are not walking through darkness, because we are all connected to the light that divinely guides us, which is the ultimate of God, which is spirit, which is all of us in the Lightworker community, and all of us that are on the path and the mission, that have that light that we see through each other, that guides us through darkness, doesn't scare us, but is able to see through it, and actually they're scared of that light. But this is going to be very tough choices, because there's going to be people, there's going to be projects, there's going to be certain things that, even though it might look real good, or there might be whatever, is it really exposing truth? Is it really on the true path? Is it really on the mission or not? And that's where you have to base a lot of this on. Let's go to the charts right now, and I'll show you why. So, a lot going on. Not your average little Mercury retrograde. This one's not like the bad one or something, you know, it's definitely not. But it's only negative when you're so attached that you're like, I can't let go of this, even though you know it's not part of the mission. So let's take a look at this chart first. October 29th. Here's the sun, 6 degrees. So one good thing is the sun has come off of the quincunx over to Uranus, or the opposition to Uranus. I was thinking of the quincunx over to Chiron. Ugh. So the sun's in a much better place. If you actually look at the sun, the aspects of it really are, one, we do have this really unique yeah, we are at a 45, aren't we? Yeah, that's 24 plus 22. 24 and 22 is 46, so that's semi-square to Sun Jupiter. So there's a lot of like positive hopes and things, but there's a kink here saying like, is it of spiritual truth, and is it of a mission or a higher purpose or an adventure that actually has connection, depth, and the same beliefs, and also is in the same understanding of the positive aspects of the universe. And it is interesting to see that Mars is in quincunx to Neptune. And so while you have a sun semi-square Jupiter and you have Mars quincunx Neptune, what do you get? Things look good, but I don't really know everything yet. You know what I mean? Or I don't know where I'm going, or I don't know what to do. I'm a little confused. What the hell? What do I do? It's like, well, here's Mercury and Venus now. And actually the moon was over it on Tuesday today. If you see, like, this is a lot of energy on top. And there's been a lot of questions when it comes to what's going on with the environment in our life and the truth, and relationships become a big thing, and the projects, what are we going to do next? What's the next thing? But, you know, here's this Mercury station, it's stopping, and it's going to go retrograde on Halloween morning. So it's like, okay, like, and the moon was just over that, which was really feeling it, like really feeling the confusion, really feeling, you know, what move do I make next? That's a lot of purgatory. Neptune, Mars. Here's that Mars square over to the midpoint of Saturn Pluto, because that midpoint of Saturn Pluto is going to be halfway in between. So we're going to have that at like 17 degrees. And so here's Mars at 1644, squaring the midpoint of Saturn Pluto. It becomes like, you know, I need to make a big decision in my life, and it could feel rushed too, because it's almost like I've been telling some people, like, try and make your choices as fast as you can before a Mercury retrograde. Like, you typically want to think that, but there is something to say that this Mercury retrograde is going to be also reviewing things too, but you almost kind of got to get the word out, or at least get something out, or, you know, get something out there, because when Mercury comes out of retrograde, it's like Jupiter's going to be direct for that week, and then it's going to be with Venus, and then over. Bye. And it's just like, now we're in Capricorn with Jupiter at its fall position. And that's a big deal, because this whole year has been about planets in their dignified signs. Jupiter is at home, Saturn's at home, Neptune's at home. I mean, these are big planets, the big three at their home signs. But Jupiter coming into Capricorn on December 2nd, guess what? No more Jupiter in its home sign, no more dignified position. Like, we lose the biggest planet in its dignified house. And we go into a darker realm. I'm sorry to say, that's where South Node, Saturn, and Pluto are, and they're conjuncting coming up there in November. They're getting close. So that's what I'm trying to say. Like, this is where people, to be honest with you, are asleep. Like, everything, I don't know, I'm just kind of, yeah. This is preparation. Not H. Although maybe you got to get a tube of that shit right now. Because there's a little bit of this, right? Like, I don't know. I see things, but I don't see things. Or I see things, but I don't really know if I'm going to deal with that right now. Or I know I should be doing this, but I can just put this on the side for a sec. Really? It's Scorpio time, right before Mercury retrograde. And it's, again, there's this optimism, you know, the moon in Sag, Jupiter in Sag, like, woo, yeah, it'll all be okay. You can look at anything right now and be like, oh, it'll be all good. But hey, there is something to say about preparing. So as we look at the next day, and actually speaking of preparing, I did a whole entire video, it's 2.5 hours long, and it actually is from October 27th, the new moon, that's where I started at, and it goes until January 12th. I cover the eclipses, but even more important than that, I do an 1.5 hour talk in different forms, docu-style, about how to prepare and what to do and what to align with and what to remember and how to prepare yourself for something that right now you might be so asleep to. But it is a serious situation that is going on to begin 2020 with. So we're going to roll a clip real quick. Make sure that you purchase it. It's on highvibe.tv under the paid video section. So this video is going to give you the tools, it's going to give you the steps, it's going to give you the questions for you to ask yourself to prepare yourself. It's going to give you my opinions on what best course of action to take. And you can take it or you can leave it or you can take parts of it or none of it. To me, as long as you're willing to listen, as long as you're willing to hear me and take it in and ask those questions, do you want to be in it or not? Like, that's what the call is. And that is, I think, the deepest part of this energy is when people start going, I want the energy to go back to normal. You want the energy to go back to where you don't have to participate in anything anymore. And you just want to go sit back and watch the whole show. And guess what? The universe is giving you that opportunity here to build up to 2020. But do you really want that in your life? Is that really, but I'm not saying, maybe I'm saying that because I'm somebody who feels that I don't want it, I don't want that. So I can't judge you for being in that space. But I can tell you from an astrological point of view that sure, it might feel more comfortable to be in that space, but there is going to be something of not being fulfilled. So make sure you go to highvibe.tv to check that out. It's awesome. I've had people been telling me they've watched it 3 times and it's 2.5 hours long. So I really want to thank all those that have purchased it. So as we go into Wednesday here, now things really start to get in the preparation mode, not H. Oh my God, I'm going to lose it today. Oh God. Okay, so Mercury and Venus. Look at that dead conjunction point. Wow. They're right on top of each other as Mercury is dead stopped. We call this station. All right, stationary direct. Okay, like it is station direct, but it's going to go stationary retrograde. Okay. So this Mercury retrograde is happening literally right on Venus. And it's interesting that in a Venus-ruled sign, we have 2 planets. We have Mars and we have Uranus. This is dealing with future connections, moving into energies that you've never tried or been with before, making your life better by doing this, and with Mars and Libra, connecting with more harmony, peace, and people that are in alignment with your true identity. And the question that I think is going to be the biggest of this Mercury retrograde is, there's going to be lots of options of that, but who really will actually take the cake and do that within yourself or within your life or around you? Who is actually going to do it? Because there's lots of possibilities of that, right? But if you're trying to go backwards, not going to happen. Let's just say that. You cannot go fix some old, I always like the old expression, like you can't go teach an old dog new tricks. Like really, there is something to say about that. This is about forward movement, Uranus. And so with Mercury in Scorpio, that's what it's deeply looking at, is who's going to make change. And it's interesting. It's not like to make such an extreme change that it's like, I'm changing everything about myself completely. But it's just about the changes to make that bring out your true authentic self, but can make that true authentic self be fully real in the sense that it's got a deeper meaning than just being authentic. But authentic is great, but authentic with meaning, authentic with purpose, authentic with being connected to the higher realms. In my opinion, that's a big deal. And that's what I think that this is about. We also are going to see this moon, right? As it's getting close to Jupiter, you'll be able to see it at night. It'll be beautiful, but you know, it's pretty much right after sunset. So you'll see the Jupiter and the moon kind of fall down. Okay, you'll see a nice, beautiful crescent moon. I love crescent moons. Right when the sun sets, you'll see a crescent moon. You'll see that bright star. That's Jupiter. It's not a star. It's Jupiter. You'll see it. And then a little bit over, it depends on how much light there is still off the sunset for you, but you'll see that dull Saturn. And the reason why Saturn is kind of dull, because its light is dull. And what's interesting is this moon is going to square over to Neptune. All right? So as Mercury is getting ready to retrograde, the moon's going to square Neptune, and it's going to be in this crescent, new waxing phase, and it's got Jupiter that it's going to come towards, but it's got Neptune there. And it's like, oh wait, I'm excited. I've got a lot of exciting emotions I want to feel, but like, am I falling into some old past pattern? Am I going backwards into the past? Don't go into the past. Don't start getting excited about past shit. And when I mean past shit that's already cleared your karma of this life already. Like you've been through it this life, you've already been through it. You've already been through that partnership, you've already been through that job, you've already been through this weird thing. Like, don't start getting all hyped up about shit where you already know, like, is that really going to change? No. And don't start getting delusional either about truth, because Mercury's going to be right on Venus, and there's some sort of truth about what you need, what you want, and what you can have. But there is something to say about emotionally at the same time putting out an understanding and putting out a positive aspect, and that's good. That is able to see through any delusions, and with Mercury on Venus having to communicate right before Halloween and right before Mercury retrograde, there's something about like, I don't know. I feel like there's this like last ditch kind of like, hello, like this. I've been saying for weeks, there is no more time left. And like, humans, we like to just give ourselves more time. The Federal Reserve likes to just keep pumping the money out, right? Like, you know what I mean? We just are living in those kind of times. And what do you think is going to happen? Like, there was just an article today that came out about the bubble is so big that they just keep pumping money into it. What do you think you do in your life when you just keep pumping fake money into your life of like, just, I'm going to keep getting through this way, even though I know I shouldn't. I know I shouldn't be connected to that. I know I shouldn't be on that path. I know I need to really do what the mission's telling me to do. Well, last chance, folks. Like, there's no more time to this is about people jumping off boats. Like, oh, I'm on my spiritual mission, but really I'm not. I'm going to go live in the bubble. I can't. Like, oh, I want to just still be asleep and that shit. And then there's other people who wake up and go, I want to jump to the real ships. This is like last call. Because this Mercury retrograde is going to be hot zone time. And to have your blinders, your mind rethinking and like what? Like, for those that have done the preparation work, come on, But others, we're coming into galactic energy. We're going to be coming into so much during this Mercury retrograde. It blows my mind. And here's that Saturn I want to just show you all real quick. 15 degrees, 21 minutes. Here is Neptune. Let's get rid of these Saturn rings in the control system. Ugh, Saturn is a controller. 1608. That's less than a degree away. This is the last time you will see Saturn and Neptune in their home sign sextile, okay? This week into next week. It's over, folks, after that. This is the last pass of that. Saturn's going to pass that. Neptune's going to retrograde, sit at 15, and Saturn's going to come all the way into Aquarius. Remember that? Well, that's really far, but all the way to Aquarius. And that's done at that point. And technically, Saturn at, it's close to a semi-square that'll be making, actually. Oh, God. But at that time, that's in the future, though. Let's get to now. So that 23 degrees of Jupiter, right? One more degree away from coming out of shadow. That's where Jupiter retrograded at the spring of this year. So we're one more degree away at coming out. So there is something to say about some last observations, but it's like there's not much room left. Everything is showing there's no more room. There's just no more room to continue to play in the middle ground. There's no more room to be on the fence. There's no more room to just keep being like, well, maybe, or I kinda, or I'll wait. No more room. Thursday on Halloween, actually I want to show you all, Thursday's chart is brought to you by Jax Atlantis on highvibe.tv. He just brought out his monthly love special. Oh, did it just get rid of it? That's so funny. But you can go to highvibe.tv. And when you go to highvibe, it's pretty cool. All you have to do is press content when you come on here. And of course, this is all the exclusive content that you subscribe for, all the dailies. Jax says Daily Tarot. We got Tim doing his daily health horoscope. We got me on my daily horoscopes. We got the Peace Dealer and his weekly horoscopes, my weekly horoscopes, Tim's weekly horoscopes, Jax. We've got tomorrow's weekly stuff. We've got so much stuff. We've got Rachel's coming back. She just had a baby. We got a lot going on right now. And we got the Art to Life show. We got the lectures. We got meditation stuff. But the paid video section, this is where you're going to find my video, the Leo King special horoscope. 2.5 hours. And I filmed this one for Jax, this monthly love special. And he goes into every day of the week of what's going to happen with love for partnered, single, and he even goes into polyamorous relationships. It's an awesome video. You should check it out. And he also has a trailer too that you can watch. You can click watch trailer and actually watch a trailer of it, which is really cool. So I want just everybody to know that you can also watch a trailer of mine, which you guys have seen. But we're really making it really cool here. And really soon you're going to be able to, on the apps, buy from Apple TV or your iPhone or Android, just right there. Bam, bam. Or I'm coming up, you'll be seeing soon, because it is Mercury Retrograde, I'm going to release, after Mercury comes retrograde, we have some new high vibe plans that are going to come out that are going to be more exclusive and have some even more exclusive content. And also, Craig has his podcast, which is coming out soon. So it's really exciting. He already recorded his first one. It's really awesome. So, Halloween, Mercury goes retrograde. Ah! Ah! The creepiness comes out. But you know what? There's something to say with Venus on there, not making it so scary. But you know, sometimes Mercury retrograde on Venus in Scorpio, you know, that could bring up a lot of things here that, you know, it just reminds me of that Venus retrograde last year, you know, from October, November. Like, you know, like kind of seeing the truth but not wanting to, and then like kind of like it's all good, it'll all work out, and then it didn't work out, you know what I mean? So just like really start to think about your truth and stay in that lane. But here's that moon passing Jupiter on Halloween, so it's going to be a positive Halloween, you know, but to be honest with you, it's going to be a weird one, because the moon is going to pass Jupiter. And then it's just not going to be making any aspects. I mean, sure, it will square Juno, but we really can't count it's a moon void off course, okay? But if we want to go into some real deep astrology, yeah, there is something to say about a moon square Juno. It's like everybody's searching for the reality of, you know, who's loyal and who's not, and who's the kind of partner that will be there for you in your life. And even if you are in a relationship, and here's Mars squaring the exact midpoint of Saturn, Pluto. So there is something to say about relationships and projects and loyalty and in reality coming into the visions you have, and can that all happen? And there's something to say about that this Halloween is about. And, you know, it depends on where you're at. For people on the East Coast, you know, this moon's going to be at the end of Sagittarius, which there's a galactic center point to this, but it also is non-aspecting. So it's a little bit just like, this is fun. And we're going to get through it. And then the moon comes into Capricorn and we start November 1st just like, oh shit, you know, like shit's real now. Like you're going to feel that there is no more time left. I think with Mercury retrograde too, you're going to feel like, oh shit, like, man, I got a lot to figure out here really fast. Like really fast. Like the world is going to change. Like my life and my decisions have to be made. Like I have to do something about it. I have to go inside. I got to look for my resources too. That's what Mercury retrograde on Venus is. Resources, people. Where are my resources and where are my people? Where's the people that connected with, and where are those tools in my life to go on the quest? Because Saturn and Neptune still in sextile. The quest, the last quest. You know, the whole quest of the Holy Grail was all about finding that higher power, that spiritual power. Are you connected with energy that does that or not? All right, November 1st, rabbit, make sure you say that on November the 1st. We're going to have Venus enter Sagittarius, even though the moon will be on the south node with Saturn. Oh, that was a really bad, oh gosh, man, somebody should have taken me to drawing school. All right. I actually have taken art school, though, here at High Vibe with Kim's show, which is on High Vibe. The moon at 10 on the south node opposed the north node. Venus, here it is, now in Sag. So Venus now is in a Jupiter-ruled energy, and Jupiter is in that sign of the Lord of that sign. Wow. Talking about big relationship shifts with Mercury retrograde on Venus and adding Venus into Sag with Jupiter in Sag. Ho, 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 ho! It's almost like a culmination point has been going on. And with Mars and Libra, kind of, you got to go into this stuff. And there's Pluto. Oh, intimacy issues. Or breaking those walls down and coming into yes or no's. All intimacy issues are sitting on the fence of whether you're going to do it or not. Like an intimacy issue is like where, you know, you're putting the moat down, you know, and somebody starts walking on it and you're like, no. And then they get thrown off the moat. And they're like in the alligators. It's like, that's not going to work. But intimacy issues do come up about whether or not I'm ready to commit fully. And then, you know, memes are going to be all thrown out there like, oh my God, Mercury retrograde, don't make a choice on this and don't make a choice on that. And I agree with a lot of that. I'm not going to deny it. But there is something to say about like a deeper thing about, well, what if it's maybe you're rethinking about how your intimacy issues over the last decade have come up because of all the Scorpio energy and the Saturn and the North Node and the eclipses that started in 2013 and all this intense stuff. So this is a lot of this kind of big Scorpio wrap-up stuff. You know what I mean? Like, and now we're in Sag. We got to explore, and we got to explore the depths of greatness through being not afraid to Mars-Pluto plunge in or plunge out. It's a rotor-rooter, Mars square Pluto. Like, there's just sometimes when the toilet is fucking clogged, that the fucking sink is clogged, and you just can't put Drano down it. You gotta get that freaking thing out, and you gotta jam that thing. That's Mars square Pluto. It's good, I want this out of my life. You know? And then there's other times where it's like, I'm sure the ladies are like, yeah, I want that in my life. You know what I mean? Like, fucking, it's Mars square Pluto. It's either out or in, you know what I mean? And it's still in the same motion the whole time. Probably is going to be a crazy meme out there. Like, this motherfucking crazy astrologer fucking doing this shit. Fuck. All right. That sun at 9 degrees is going to be trining over that north node over that day too, as that there's this uniqueness coming as the sun and the moon make their nice sextile at 10 and 9. So we're going to see it at 9, and there's some stability here to start to really see what is. We got to be really smart, even though, you know, Sagittarius is a know-it-all, but it only is a know-it-all through experience, and there's something to say that we got to go through experiences. We got to have our doors open, and Mars square Pluto can sometimes be like, I don't know if I want my doors open. My identity wants it this way, and I don't, you know, like there's gonna be a lot of doors closed, but there's also to close the doors of the things that have just been sitting on the fence of things that you know you really didn't want anyways, and you already did a lot of exploring. And then, you know, this is gonna be the irony, and I'm gonna throw this one out of a rabbit's hat. Like, and tell you that maybe this Mercury retrograde that makes you rethink, like, oh, wait, hold on, maybe I do want to open the door now that I cut it out, or that person left, or this situation, or that project left, or why did I do that? Maybe that's what you need to rethink. Like, maybe you were having an intimacy issue, maybe you were having a trust issue, maybe you're having an emotional issue there. But there is something to say, like, I just keep feeling like this is all just like the universe dropping a bunch of random stuff on us. Like with this new moon opposed Uranus, like turned us in a whole new direction in life. Like, whoa. And especially if it's new and it's great, I think that's positive. But I think if it's old and it's tired and you've been through it before and you're trying to make it fix something that way, it's an opposite to Uranus, that new moon. It's not gonna work. And I think that this could be a very chaotic time for people trying to fix old shit that you've been trying to fix a long time. And here's Mercury retrograde. Are you going to waste all that time in Scorpio and be obsessed with trying to fix it so much? Instead of like focusing on how to connect deeper to new things that are exciting and moving you into the future of your greatness and to the mission. As we move on to Saturday here, we start to see the moon there on top of Pluto. And what's interesting about this moon is going to conjunct Pluto while it is squaring over to Mars, and the North Node and Sun will make their exact trine and sextile. We do have Venus at 1 degree, so it's clicked into gear. And we do get Venus trine Chiron, which there's something really healing about and beautiful about the exploring of things that might not be what you thought it would be, but also there is, I think, a really deep healing about like people being vulnerable and people being able to really identify with you in the same belief systems and the same hopes and dreams, and projects starting to find like some ways to heal, especially if they're on a higher path and a higher mission, and that things that are not needing to be fixed because they've just been broken for so fucking long, you know? Because the other part of Venus trine Chiron is it might be like, yeah, you know what, you're gonna need to get over it. That didn't work, like you can heal and open some doors, open some doors. I want to say this because I think a lot of the memes will say like, oh, things that you mean on a Mercury retrograde never work out. Like there might be some truth to that on this one, but there also might be a hall pass on this one with this Jupiter, Venus coming out of shadow during this, with Jupiter during Mercury retrograde and with Mercury retrograde on Venus. Like, I think that, and with Mars square Pluto, there is something to say about maybe this is a total real Scorpio lesson of like where people closed off and where people have boundary issues with closing off things that they know they shouldn't be in. So they can open up to new things. Like, this is not your average Mercury retrograde. This is not just, play it the same way. You don't play every transit the same way. You never do. Mars square Pluto, you don't play the same way, especially when it's in Libra and Pluto's in Capricorn. Remember that the last time Mars could have squared over to Pluto with Saturn in Capricorn would have been 500 years ago. So this is a once in 500 year transit. We just went through the Saturn version, now we're going through the Pluto version, which is much more extreme. Pluto is like, whoa, you want this? Like, I got to put it through a rigorous, like, real, like, lie detector test, or it's not so much that, but a detector test of like, is this really good for your destiny? It's like going to Target or Walmart and being like the price checker, like, beep, beep, beep. It's kind of like, let me make sure this is on your destiny. Yeah, it's on your destiny, like, pass through. It's an inspection. Mercury retrograde in Scorpio, we're all going to become little detectives. Like, is this really what I want? And then this Pluto aspect, woo, to Mars, woo. Like, it's like, I want to go. And it's like, I will give you the power, I will give you none. But with the sun trine the North Node, there is something to say here coming into this weekend that there's another weird switch in the energy, not like a radical Uranian switch, although that's going on throughout the whole lunation cycle since the new moon. That was on Sunday, sorry. There is something to say, though, that this new moon energy brought that crazy, wild new direction. But there's something to say about the sun and North Node with the moon at that square point to Mars, but coming off of it. There is something to say that this is kind of turning in a unique way of a positive turn that you have to really start to open and see with clarity in your soul and be ready, because there's this major buildup. And this buildup is intense that we're going to start to feel in life, because it's the buildup of Jupiter, which we'll see here on Sunday. It's the buildup of Jupiter, as Jupiter now is just less than 30 minutes away, and we're talking geometry here, okay, for the avid people with astrology. So Jupiter, of course, went retrograde at 24, I think 21. And so here's 23, 54 minutes. These are degrees, these are minutes. So we are so close for Jupiter to come into its full power at the last decan in the last 6 degrees of Sagittarius here, which is where the galactic center is, okay? There's something about galactic beings and missions all coming together. And we got Venus in that same sign. And Moon is in Aquarius. Now, this is going to be interesting. Sunday, because there's this buildup. The sun now is done with the North Node. We're not going to see the sun trine the North Node for a while till the sun comes into Pisces, early Pisces, okay? No more trines there. And that'll be post Saturn-Pluto conjunction. So there's something to say during this Mercury retrograde. We are putting a lot of things together and a lot of things are showing up. But maybe it's not about making like major like life choices, like moving, or like you want to get to the bottom of things, or like getting married or doing an engagement or whatever. But it doesn't mean like not to, like, let's see what this is and let's fully experience things and let's get to the bottom of this and let's cut that out because I don't fully want that. But that moon in Aquarius is going to be like, ooh, because we're going to get a moon square the sun. And this is going to be the waxing quarter square, and this is going to be in Aquarius, and this is going to be in Scorpio. And these are fixed signs, and we got Uranus in that involved. So we got this moon-Uranus square, but the moon is going to make awesome aspect to Venus. So there's something about these new and exciting connections with people that are building up this weekend and a shift point for you in your life with this. But what's the most interesting to me is then there's that square to Uranus saying like, make sure this is the new and better. And like, let's make sure that we really try things that maybe we haven't before. And let's actually also see where there's really deep connection on like the same values. And this is when Mars is starting to square Pluto within a degree. So here we are with 1951. And then we get right here, we get 2052. So, I mean, we are within that square of intensity. This is intense building. I showed you the Jupiter thing. The moon's making tense aspects with the sun. We've got the moon making tense aspects with Uranus. There's a lot going on here. And you know what? That Neptune, Uranus semi-square has begun again. That's 40. It's like, yeah, this is 14 plus 30 is, my math is all off. So yeah, that's 44 plus 4. We're at like 48 degrees. It's getting closer. So it's showing this as Lilith here is making a weird semi-square to Uranus. But there is something to say as Uranus is coming back to 2, and we are in a semi-square with Neptune Uranus. There is still, you know, this discernment of understanding what's divine or not. The dark is having fun cloaking things as looking as light. And it's usually things that look too perfect or too light. It's not, it's dark. Like the things that look dark are usually lighter. I don't know what it is because it's authentic and it's real. There's something about realness, you know? Like we can see it through our medias now. We can see it through everything. That's what Uranus in semi-square to Neptune has been for this last 2 years. You know, ever since Uranus went into Taurus. There's been something to say about seeing the false light. And you know what? A lot of the false light is looking too perfect. Looking too showy perfect instead of like exposing its truth and its realness and its, yeah, it can own its value, but it also has got a vulnerability to it. It's got a beautiful presence. It's willing to expose the soul. But I think that this is going to be a little bit, not a little bit, this is going to be extremely electric, extremely passionate, and extreme, because when we come into Monday, we are coming into really extreme. We're coming into that Mars exactly square Pluto. We're coming into that Sun, Moon exactly square. We're coming into Venus and Chiron finishing that thing out. But we are going to have Venus making quincunxes to Uranus. That's going to add some electricity to things. And look at that Jupiter. Bam, 2405. We are literally on the last day of it in shadow because it is going to go full speed. This is the biggest planet, and it is rocking hard in Sag, ready to expand our lives and to explore a lot of things. We also have the Sun getting ready for its sextiles over to Saturn, making big choices in our life. This is in the middle of a Mercury Retrograde, 26 degrees. Oh my gosh. I mean, we can barely even see this thing because I'm a freaking crazy drawer, but this is a major pump up in life. And use the Mercury retrograde for discernment and understanding things and being curious at things. That you have to be a detective. If you're going to just try and be a detective from Instagram and somebody's life, or you're just going to try and be a detective from far away, like from behind a double pane glass, like good luck. You need to go taste it. You need to go feel it. That's what the whole opposition of the new moon that happened at 4 degrees with the sun and the moon, that was an opposite to Uranus. You got to have it in your life. It just can't be behind double pane glass. And Mars square Pluto is going to go, what are we going to go, what are we giving afterburners to? Like, where is Highway to the Danger Zone playing? Where's Top Gun starting to play? Might even be weird. I bet you know, it might freak you out. There might be some new Top Gun trailer, another one or something for Top Gun 2 coming out during this time. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this is Highway to the Danger Zone. This is electric. This is the rock star energy, you know? The moon in Aquarius, the sun in Scorpio is where people go, fuck it, I'm going to go get a tattoo. People with a lot of Aquarius, Scorpio have tattoos. Like, you'll see that. You know? And there's this passion. And look at this, Libra, Juno. Whew. So you want to bring the complications of the relationship thing in a way of like, wow, this is really intense, but it's also maybe a little confusing, or I don't know how to deal with it. You're bringing Juno, into Libra of relationships. Oh my gosh. While Mars is square Pluto, while the moon is square the sun, while Venus is in Sag, trining Chiron, while Venus is going to quincunx Uranus, while Neptune and Saturn are right on their last time that they're going to ever sextile in our lives of this mission. It's like we come into the end of this week and we come into this next deep astrology where shit is like fucking, here it is, like, and what? And with a Mercury retrograde, like, are you fucking joking me? Like, why? Like, I'm gonna have to make these choices, but oh my gosh, these memes are telling me not to. Don't fucking listen to them. Listen to your fucking self, please, like seriously. Oh my gosh. I love meme culture, don't get me wrong, but when it comes to doing horoscopes, you know what was funny is I had fun this weekend. Somebody put out, I don't even know who it was, a new moon horoscope one, and I just threw the meme out just to see the reaction of what people would do. And some people started retweeting that or re-Instagram storying it. I'm like, are they freaking kidding me? I'm like, oh my gosh. It's because like so basic. It's like so not putting in like all that. They don't even know about Saturn and Neptune. I just saw ISAR put out because I'm a member of ISAR. Like, should you even do, you know, a reading for clients, or should even astrologers be astrologers until they've reached their Saturn return? That was actually a very good question. It was weird because it was my Saturn return that like the Leo King took off. You know, like I was never taken really that seriously until I had my Saturn return. So I kind of thought of that myself, and I was kind of like, yeah, maybe there's something to say about that. I'm not going to try and tell astrologers that haven't had their Saturn return yet that they're not that great. But I know from a lot of my students and people who, you know, it's like you get the real traction or actual seriousness in taking the astrology seriously when you've actually had the Saturn return. It's just an interesting question. I'm not putting out that I believe that. I'm just saying it's kind of an interesting thing, and it's a good way to look at Mercury retrograde and Scorpio and be like, yeah, let's look at that. Let's look at that deep. Let's look at that real deep. Let's look at it to the core. But there's something about Scorpio that needs to feel connected. It needs to feel it. If it doesn't feel it, like, I'm sorry, it's just not going to happen. And I think that that's going to be your gauge. Use Mercury retrograde because it's not making negative aspects, it's making positive ones. Use it during these expansive times where the pressure's building. Like, we are going to see massive intense energy through the weekend, and it's gonna pop on Monday into Tuesday, just like bam. And when that happens, it's like, and it's a buildup. It's gonna all happen really fast. Everything is gonna happen fast this whole month because, of course, Uranus was an opposite of this lunar cycle, and that Jupiter is coming online on Tuesday, on Deep Astrology Tuesday. Holy cow! Next week, and we got Venus in Sag. This is an exciting time. And just use Mercury retrograde as a gauge. It's a gauge of like, do I really want this? Do I want to eat it? Do I want to like love it? Do I want to feel it fully or not? No, I don't. Okay, fuck. Because that Mars in Libra is creating a little bit of havoc for things. Because Pluto and Saturn are like, gosh darn it. Can't it just get into Scorpio where it knows what it fucking wants? Like, I gotta teach this Mars in Libra. And this isn't about Libras. This is about Mars in Libra, okay? But Mars in Libra, it doesn't know, and it gets stuck, and it gets like, people with Mars in Libra, you have to push them. You have to kind of be like, you can do this, go, 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 go. Or it's like they wait for somebody to say, oh yeah, I need the authority, or somebody give me the yes to do something. It's like, okay, yes, you can. You know what I mean? They need Obama. Yes, yes, you can. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. You know, it's like, I need an Obama shirt. Yes, I can to go, or whatever. You know, it's like, yes, we can, but there's something about, yes, I can. Somebody has to like say that in themselves with Mars. And we all experience it with Mars in Libra too, though. I will say that we all experience this like, can I do this? Or, you know, it's like almost like having to ask parties like for permission. Like, can I do this? And what are you thinking? Like, I don't know what I'm going to do. Like, should we do this? Should we do this? I don't know what to fucking do. Oh my God, like, blah, 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 blah. Way too fucking much. There's too much fixed energy right now this week. And there's too much Jupiter and Venus and Sag. It's like, let's go on the fucking quest. Let's go. Saturn and Pluto are like, let's make it happen. Let's fucking like, let's define this and let's like cardinal this out and let's make it the best we can. Let's reach the top. And it's like, Uranus is in Taurus too. Like, let's only connect with the best shit that feels good, that's gonna be real in our life. Let's get rid of old shit. Let's get rid of old karma. And literally everywhere in the charts, like, fuck yeah, let's go. And the only thing is Mars and Libra. Like, I don't know. And it's like, oh my gosh, there's always that thing in life though, right? It's always some planet, usually, somewhere. It happens to be Mars and Libra right now. So there's something to say is like everything's very like Martian and let's go and let's take action, let's expand. And there's Mars and Libra like, hey, well, hold on, is it okay? I don't know. Like, hold on for me, everyone. Like in the back, like, oh God. Like, that's what Pluto's doing. Like, it's kind of embarrassed. Like, I have to take on Mars and Libra on this trip right now. Like, fuck, let me set some ground rules. Like, you need to make a choice. What are you still what are your problems? Well, I like this, but I don't know if I should do that. It's like, fuck no, don't do that and do this. Okay, and you're gonna have to tell that to yourself. And the sign, Pluto is exposing, and with Mercury retrograde in Scorpio, and the sun in Scorpio, Pluto's stronger than you realize. And with it getting stronger as it's out of its retrograde, of course, and it's getting more stronger, and Saturn is coming closer to it for their major conjunction. It's getting strong, and this Mars is going to feel it. It's going to be like, damn, I got to reawaken to my fucking truth of making choices in depth. But if you want to find out that, watch me every day on highvibe.tv where my daily horoscopes are. And if you want to even go deeper into that and how to plan for this next 2-month cycle, it's actually 2 months and 12 days, pretty much, if you're watching this on Halloween. But or it's actually 2 months and 2 weeks. So and even to Christmas, because on Christmas night into the day after Christmas is the solar eclipse in Capricorn. And I'm telling you folks, with Jupiter on December 2nd leaving Sag and coming into Capricorn, there's not a lot of time. And you do not want to waste this. You do not want to miss the boat. I know I sound like a reverend tonight, but I will tell you all, you don't want to waste these opportunities. You don't want to waste things. And you know what? You want to let go of the ego that is just connected to a path that you're afraid to leave, that you know is not, that's empty, that's not giving you the most greatest thing in the world. And why fuck around with any of that shit anymore? Like, this is true Scorpio. Even Craig got this motherfucker red tonight. Believe it or not, red is very Scorpio color, red and black. And there's something to say about red and black and roulette. This is a roulette game we're all in right now. And we're rolling the dice. And if you're afraid to roll the dice and you're afraid to put your bets and your intuition on red or black, whatever that might be, and you're just gonna play like, well, I'll stay out this bet. Or, oh, I guess I'll pick, I don't know, the middle row. Like, fuck, man. Like, come on, red or black? You going in? I'm there for you all every day. I love you all very much. Make sure that you check out After Dark after this. Make sure you get on the apps. They're free to download. Notifications are coming out. They just made the update, and we had to submit to the app stores to be able to you guys can, when you download the new update, you can push allow notifications. So that's a process, but it's in the process right now, and we did it before Mercury retrograde. So, but get the app so you can watch all the cool content, and you can subscribe through the app stores now. And of course, get that awesome video that I did about your preparation to 2020, and of course, that is called Destiny Call. And Jax has his new monthly horoscope up about love, tarot prediction, and not only just single relationships, partnerships, but he goes into polyamorous. Pretty interesting. I filmed that one. It was pretty cool, and I did some cool filming on it. If you want to see what I'm like behind the cameras on here, it was kind of cool. I was doing some fun stuff. I love you all very much. Join us for After Dark, and I will see you. And please share this, like, subscribe, all that bullshit. And I fucking love you all, and I'll see you all in the next Deep Astrology. So this video is going to give you the tools, it's going to give you the steps, it's going to give you the questions for you to ask yourself to prepare yourself. It's going to give you my opinions on what best course of action to take. And you can take it or you can leave it or you can take parts of it or none of it. To me, as long as you're willing to listen, as long as you're willing to hear me and take it in and ask those questions Do you want to be in it or not? Like that's what the call is. And that is, I think, the deepest part of this energy is when people start going, I want the energy to go back to normal. You want the energy to go back to where you don't have to participate in anything anymore. And you just want to go sit back and watch the whole show. And guess what? The universe is giving you that opportunity here as the build up to 2020. But do you really want that in your life? Is that really, but I'm not saying, maybe I'm saying that because I'm somebody who feels that I don't want it, I don't want that. So I can't judge you for being in that space. But I can tell you from an astrological point of view that sure, it might feel more comfortable to be in that space, but there is going to be something of not being fulfilled.